May we all rise for the national anthem, please? Namaste and good afternoon. I am Shuli and I have been honored with the responsibility of sharing a brief introduction about Karista Foundation. Karista is a Greek word which means charity, giving and caring. Karista Foundation was founded on the foundations of caring for the elderly, artists, artisans and holistically the entire planet. Karista Foundation's logo is a handmade vase because we support handicrafts, artisans, and Indian art and culture. We aspire to identify artistic talent from the underprivileged section of society to provide them with opportunities to receive artistic education. We are also championing the need for psychological care for the elderly. We hold group and private sound healing sessions to help minimize stress and depression, which is offered free to the senior citizens. In the last 2 years, we have organized regular fundraisers through Jalsa, a gathering of intellectual individuals every month, where performances of brilliant but lesser known artists were appreciated and encouraged. The monthly Jalsa raised awareness and sensitized the audience about elderly care by showcasing our short film Poonam. All in all, Karista Foundation is founded with passion and stands for elderly psychological care, promoting artists, Indian art, and a cleaner and greener planet. Karista Foundation is grateful for the unflinching support received from the event's lead partner, SENI, by TZMO Group and associate sponsor Skybarge Flight Private Limited. Today's National Symposium on Elderly Psychological Care is supported by All India Radio, Aerotatvika, Marina Handcrafts, and Sukhmanch Theatre. We are deeply grateful to all our partners and supporters. My parents and my dear audience here, I would like to present this invocation song called Maro Pranam.
Bihari
Loneliness has turned into a global epidemic due to urbanization and lifestyle changes, due to mobile phones, social media, and other lonely habits. Health-wise, loneliness is as bad as smoking 2 packs of cigarettes a day. Does that sound alarming to you? 50% of Parisians live alone, and over 30% of UK households are one person. Over 50% of elders above the age of 75 live alone in UK. Depression and other mental disorders have become rampant, in addition to the economic cost. This is just an example, and the scenario across the globe, including India, is no better. As per Census 2011, India has over 104 million elders, which is 8.6% of the population aged over 60, where females outnumber males. India has undergone a demographic transition in the past 50 years, tripling the elder count. This percentage is slated to rise to 11.6% of the population, or 159 million by 2025, according to United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs. Now talking about what Karista intends to do. Karista Foundation is attempting to address the loneliness and depression in elders. In India, we must work towards having a set of governance or policies that address the issue. The National Symposium on Elder Psychological Care aims to raise awareness about this issue and involve the individual, social, corporate, government cooperation to help create a field of happiness, joy, and laughter for elders. Poonam, the social short that showcases their loneliness and need for companionship. The question we need to ask ourselves is, are we giving our elders hope? Since time immemorial, storytelling has been a powerful medium of communication. In that whole scheme visual, storytelling through film is the strongest medium of evoking an emotional response. We hope our film has stirred your emotions at various levels.
We have very special guests today. Our guest of honor, Vinit Goenka ji, has walked in. He took permission from me that मैं late आऊँगा थोड़ा और जल्दी चला जाऊँगा. तो पता नहीं कितनी जल्दी जाएंगे. So let me just introduce him. He is the spokesperson for BJP Delhi Pradesh, and he is a nationalist, very committed to the nation and passionate about tapping technology to change the way India works. Very warm welcome to you, Vinit ji. Thank you so much. आपने अपने इतने busy schedule से कीमती वक्त हमारे लिए निकाला. 1 घंटा तो बैठेंगे ना? 1 घंटे का commitment है. And I am so delighted to introduce Meeta ji. Please आइए. Come आइए. Vinit ji. Thank you so much for coming. इनका ना हाना चल रहा था आने का. So we couldn't announce that she's coming or not. And just last evening I called her and asked her, आप आई हैं दिल्ली? बोलती हाँ आई हूँ.
I would like to now call upon Goenka ji to please be with us here on the stage and share some insightful perspective from your side.
My namaste to everybody. Am I audible? I was talking to the professor. It is so easy to go on television, debate and fight and make the points. But to speak on this kind of sensible platform, it's very difficult. Let me tell you, Dr. Nair, every word of yours, I was taking down my notes, so I'll try and go back and contribute this to it. Madam Meeta, I've been watching you on the television. I never knew that I'll be meeting you today, else I would have got my son along with me to meet you. See, as a child, I was always thinking on what is the difference between education, intelligence, experience. Coming from a very humble background, I used to think सब कुछ एक जैसा है, everything is same. And then one old story, probably each of you have heard this story 10 to 15 times or maybe more than that. Only our friend, she would not have heard it probably, so I'll tell it for you. So there was a marriage party, there was a bride finding party which was trying to go and find a bride. दुल्हन देखने के लिए जा रहे थे. And they went to the probable groom's place, and there they had a list of demands. So in past in India there used to be demands also. There were some unhealthy or unsocial things where demands were there. So they had demands, कि marriage we should have this kind of food, this should be served. And practically speaking, the list which was there was very unrealistic. थोड़ा ज़्यादा ही मांग लिया था. So generally you would expect 30-40 items to be eating in that the platter been served, but they were having a list and so on. So the bride side was very uncomfortable that this list of food which is being demanded cannot be fulfilled, and it was going to be very expensive. बहुत महंगा होने वाला. But they said, we will fulfill all your needs. Whatever you ask us for us to provide in the food, we'll give it to you. But there are two conditions. Condition number one, we cannot bring more than 50 guests. And two, ours is a very young village, so you can't have anybody who comes beyond 50 years. The eldest one will be 50 years. Probably most of you now know this story, but for our guest. So, when this condition was told to the bridegroom's side, they agreed, because the people were like me, not so wise, half intelligent, half learned. They agreed and they went back and they were very happy. See, we negotiated a lot of mithais to be served in the food. When they went back and they met the grandfather of the groom, the grandfather of the groom said, there is some trick inside this. There will be some catch. Why don't you take me in the marriage party? And they said, we have promised we will not bring anybody who is elderly. We will only bring somebody who is young, smart looking and all this, and no one with that stick or that. He insisted, no, please take me. So they took him inside a basket so that he cannot be seen, and he said, I'll sit inside the basket, you give me something to eat, I'll sit there, and in case there is something, you can consult me. So they took him. Once they reached that marriage place, the food was been served in very less quantity, but the number of items were there. And the bride side said, we have one more condition. If you want to eat it, you eat it with straight hand. You cannot fold your hand. Now you eat it with cutlery or you eat it with bare hands, you have to fold your hands, right? So they said, if you want to eat, you have to eat it with straight hands. Now they were fixed because they cannot eat with straight hands, right? Neither with cutlery nor this thing. And then they started thinking, what do we do? One of them said, yes, my grandfather is in that box there, which I have kept. Let me ask this old man whether he knows some solution. So he rushes under some name, goes to that box and whispers to him, फंसा दिया यार इन्होंने, मतलब they have put us in a situation. We have been asked to eat with straight hand. How do we eat? And the old man inside the box tells him, it's very easy. Why don't you sit in the line, pick it up and pass it on to the next one who is there, and he would eat it. Now this simple story, when Shilpi ji called me, I was thinking, what will a career politician come here and speak? And it was so difficult. And that too coming from a background where I only do non-kinetic warfare. So my book is on data warfare. I deal with journals. I sit in something which is real based. But ma'am, sitting there, I thought I should share this, that wisdom is bigger than intelligence and education. Because wisdom is intelligence, education multiplied with experience, and you cannot replace experience. That comes only with age. I'm been blessed because we have been 4 generations in one house. When I was born, my great-grandfather was there, and my son was born, my grandfather was there. And we have photographs, we have been doing, and so probably the culture came down. I had an opportunity to meet a big economist, S. Gurumurthy, and we were flying. So he was flying the same plane and I jumped in. Those were the days when I used to work with IBM Corporation. I was gainfully employed, और मैं ऐसा नहीं था सर जो आज हो, पहले अच्छा था. So those days I used to be working. So working with IBM, you have US norms, you see all these things multinational, and I said ki sir, they have something called as 401k plan, where the elders have been social security norms, where elders have been taken care of. Why don't we have this kind of thing here? And he said ki yes, we should consider as something as a country that we should have some kind of scheme like this. But second thought, he said, Vinit, we stay in India, and culture in India is a little different than West. And he said, we have a culture of taking care of elders, not from our own family, also from society. So probably our needs are not that pressing, where we have to jump and adopt everything which is there in the West. I was young, you have your ideas, and when you are at 30s, you don't agree with anybody who suggests you things. But then I had an opportunity to go to my village. I come from Jhunjhunu, which is in Rajasthan. If you know Jhunjhunu, it is the maximum soldier giving district of this country. Maximum uniform soldiers come from this district. Every village has some bust or idol or photographs outside the village, which are the boys who have laid down their life, and I'm very proud. My village also has a couple of dozen of photographs outside the village, and they've been proud. In my marriage, we did not have any firecrackers or no drums were beaten, because I got married in 1999 and we lost 6 boys from our village. So my grandfather insisted, गांव का लड़का गया है, इसके लिए फटाके नहीं फटेंगे, drum नहीं पिटेगा, and that culture. And that was a time when my grandfather denied no music will be played in the marriage. That I understood what does it mean by coexistence and importance of coexistence, and what Guru Murthy was telling me that time. Sir, to answer you, yes, as the government, a very thoughtful government and the people's government, pension schemes, nutritional security has been thought, and that's why you would have seen that in the COVID period, we were the first government to react and provide free food, and not for 1, 2, 3, for 80 crores, and for your understanding, 800 million people were provided free food, and that's free rations will be given till December 2022. So that's one. 2, sir, Ayushman Bharat, we have thought how it will protect the people, and medical expenses till 5 lakh rupees will be provided. That is it. Third, the expenses of medicines are very high, and you would appreciate Prime Minister Modi understood this, because he comes from a very humble background. He himself has a mother to take care, and so medicines are being provided in the shops, which are low cost medicines, and general medicines are a very, very competitive rate in it. Sir, I have written this book, Data Sovereignty, along with journals, and one of the journal, his experiences of my age. So I had an opportunity to write somebody which is very elderly. General Patil has children of my age. So that book, and while writing that book, while we were talking about new age technology, how to use data as a warfare weapon, but he could also tell us what has to be taken care of. So we took his wisdom, and let me tell you, sir, I come from a culture where I relate everybody with my mother. There are very few countries in the world where the nation is been addressed as mother. I call my nation as Bharat Mata. So that feeling of everybody around is my parents, and I should take care of them, comes from that particular connotation of Bharat Mata. We not only consider and remember our elderly people or old people on one particular day by celebrating Mother's Day or Father's Day, but we have a full fortnight, 15 days, where we not only remember our seniors or elders, but we also remember our dead and the ancestors. Pitru Paksha, which is recently just over. Entire 15 days of a calendar year has been dedicated to remember your forefathers, not 1 generation, 2 generations, but 21 generations. I think probably the civilization, the culture we come from is very proud of that. Shilpi ji, I've been blessed to attend many seminars internationally in India on debates. But every time when we go back home, it's not the same feeling, and we don't share, because initially the parents or the wife or the kids ask, "Aaj kya baat kya bola?" But once they habituated to see you in 4 or 5 programs in a day, then they stop talking to you. But I promise you today, my dinner table will have conversation about this particular meeting, and I will educate my son what I have learned from this particular part. Sir, there are some few more things I wish I would have had more time to speak, which I have just taken extempore to write here. But the concept of Nana Nani Park, dedicated public gardens where seniors can come, and the facilities inside the gardens will suit to their needs, whether the wheelchair or people with walk. Access and mobility. I come from railways, you would have seen the last 4 years, the platform access to senior citizens has been improved, and we have given the rims which are there, the rings are there. In the coaches, there are one of the toilet is enabled with senior citizens, and I'm proud that my Prime Minister personally took interest in this particular part. Access on the road, low deck buses, which will allow senior citizens to travel in public transport. They are being provided under the national regeneration programs which are there, the funding which has been going. So is the education that if you see all the Sarkari buildings, all the government buildings have been asked to create ramps which will allow not only Divyangs, but also senior citizens to walk honorably themselves without any help inside the building to the babus. Today you have educated me, madam. I have many teachers who educated me, you educated me. I'll go back, share this experience with my party men, make sure that when we make policies, we discuss policies, we will have this element in our mind and soul that every policy suits to the need of my future after 20 years. When I will be called a senior citizen, I'll take care of that my future is protected. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you everybody for giving me such a patience hearing. Bharat Mata ki Jai.